Well, hello, everyone. This is Anita Johnson, your host for Finding Your Financial Voice podcast, and I am so glad that you're here. The mission of this podcast is always to give you sound financial tips that you can implement immediately, allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Boy, today is a special day, and this is a particularly special month. It is Domestic Violence Survival Month, and we're going to have a great guest on that's going to be talking about this. But I want to give you a little background about, of course, the show. This show is founded on principles of women, basically women, helping them to find their financial voice, how that looks for them. And we give them tips. And although these tips are for everybody, these tips are geared to help you understand your finances. Now, you might say, well, what does domestic violence have to do with finances? Well, first of all, a lot of women and men, let's just be honest, stay in this particular, one of the reasons why is they stay in this particular situation because they don't have the finance, or they don't feel that they have the resources financially to lead. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that today with our guest. And I just want to introduce our guest really quickly. Her name is Shawn Saxton. She's a licensed minister, author, international #1 bestseller, right? And she's keynote speaker, motivational speaker, certified life transitional coach, domestic violence, HIV advocate, and entrepreneur. Oh my gosh, so much going on. Shawn, thank you for being part of the Finding Your Financial Voice podcast today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Miss Anita.
Oh, I'm excited about having you. I really am excited. So this is domestic. I see you have a wealth of knowledge here, a wealth of things going on. And I'm going to get into your bio a little bit later, but what I want you to do is talk about the domestic violence month. What happens here at this particular month, and how does money affect our domestic violence people who are trying to get out of their relationships or have just gotten out of them? And what can we do to help these people along out of these unhealthy, toxic relationships?
Okay, that's a whole lot. Not that domestic violence does not go on the other 11 months, but October just happened to be the month that they bring awareness to it, like I said. And on the finances of domestic violence, a lot of times when a woman is going through domestic violence, her finances are affected in terms of the man, the abuser, might be the breadwinner. And if he's the breadwinner, then her hands are tied. So that makes it financial abuse within the domestic violence.
Wow.
And the effects it has on women, it keeps them in a place where they no longer want to be. And that's because they do not have the financial means to get away at that particular moment.
Wow. You mentioned something about the man being the breadwinner of the household. Are we as women allowed, I know we've come a long way as far as earning money and making our own way. Are we still, are the women allowing, and I don't know if allowing is a good word for it, the man to run the household when it comes to the finances? So if they're working, he is still in control of the money. And I don't know if that's the right wording. You let me know if that's the right wording or not.
Well, Anita, sometimes even though we could be working and we could have high profile jobs, we still have that mindset sometimes that the man is in control of the household. He's the head of the household. I'm not going to say that he, let me think about this. I'm not going to say that he is always so much in control, but there are still some women out there that, they're not working. They're homemakers. Right. And if they're a homemaker, that means they're limited to finances. Now, the women that are working and have their own monies coming in, they might be in the domestic violence for other reasons. But financial, it does play a huge part in domestic violence still today. And we have come a long way, definitely.
Great. Yeah, I get you. That's interesting that you would say that, because we definitely have come a long way as far as, us earning our own keep, so to speak, our own keep, so to speak. Yeah. And so it does, it really does, I guess, behoove women to really understand some of the flags that before the domestic violence starts. What are some of the flags that they can be looking for? And you can give us 3, and there may be more, but what are the really flags that's kind of giving us the reasoning for they can look for when it comes to domestic violence? I think that's what I'm looking for.
Well, some of the red flags would be a man wanting to control you, want to tell you what to do, how to do it, when to do it. That's a red flag. Another red flag would be a man wanting to change you. I met you one way, but I got with you, and now you want to change the way I wear my hair. You want to change what I wear. You want to change my friends. Just wanting to change you. Another red flag would be just a man just calling you out your name. Someone just calling you out your name. Those are red flags, and it could be so subtle. It could just be so subtle. I think it's so cute. Oh, he want me to change my hair. Oh, he want me to change the way I look. He don't want me to wear makeup. No, he want to change you. So that's how subtle it is. It's very subtle. Domestic violence is not outright, because if it was, a lot of times we won't be in it. We won't be in it that long. So it is very subtle.
Yeah, I get you. I understand that. I am a domestic violence survivor. It wasn't more or less, and this was when I was very, very young, but it more or less wasn't the change, but it more or less was to remove me from my family.
Isolation.
Remove me from people who love me. I don't understand why you over there, those kinds of things. And so that is kind of the stuff that actually, kind of happened to me. So I want to talk
isolation.
Yeah, isolation.
That's what they call isolation.
Right.
And that happens. And honestly, that's a slow process as well. It's not all of a sudden. That's very slow, because if they do that all of a sudden, you see it. But if they do it in steps, gradually, sometimes you don't even know it. But by the time you realize you're in isolation, you don't have any more friends. You haven't been in contact with your family.
Wow.
There's no one around, and no one really wants to be bothered because they don't want to deal with the abuser.
And I think that's true, because a lot of times people can see what we don't see, the ones that's in the domestic violence. People on the outside can see what's happening, but we can't see it because we're so close into it. So yes, I'm liking this conversation. So if you're out there and you're listening, make sure that you look up Miss Shawn Saxton, and she's the founder of the Ramah, Ramah.
No, the Ramah.
Ramah, thank you. Empowerment Center, and it's a nonprofit organization for girls that ages from 10 to 65. And she targets young girls who are at risk developing harmful traits that provoke from negative influences and experiences. And she is our guest, and we are talking to her here on Finding Your Financial Voice podcast. We're just excited because this month is Domestic Violence Month. And like she says, domestic violence is 12 months out the year. But this is just a month that we acknowledge that it really does happen, okay? That it really does happen. And so we're just excited that she is here with us. And she's also, an advocate for domestic violence, suicide, mental health, substance abuse, and for children, all at-risk girls. I'm excited, man. She has a wealth and a wealth and a wealth and a wealth of knowledge. So tell me about the Empowerment Center. What made you start this group?
Well, I saw the need, and I was doing groups different places. So I really saw the need, and I said, if I could just do it for myself and get women to come and be able to open up and be able to empower them, maybe we could just cut down, because no one agency could cater to everything that's out there. So I do a lot of work in different areas. So going into those different areas, it was easy for me to see what was needed. And when I say that, I work sometime in areas that's confidential. So I decided, well, maybe I need to put something together. That way I could be able to replicate the services that I'm providing for other people and just bring it under one umbrella, whether it be in person or whether it's by virtual. So that's why I started it. And then people always wanted to talk to me. So I figured, well, I need to get a business going.
That's exactly what you did. And this business is based where?
In Tampa, Florida.
Okay. All right. And they can go on the web and find this on Google or whatever and find it?
They could, but the easiest way to find me is to just go on Facebook. You could just go on Facebook, type in Shawn Lovely Saxton, and I'm there. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm basically on all social media, but I'm kind of seasoned, so I stay on Facebook.
Great. That's great. So tell me, what kind of programs and how widespread is it? I know you said you're in Tampa, but how widespread are some of the programs that you have for the domestic violence individual?
Well, I tailor everything to that individual.
Okay.
Because I don't have the funding. So what I do a lot of stuff out of pocket. So I tailor everything to the individual or to the groups that I'm doing. Because I also go into different organizations and do groups for different people. So I just tailor it to the need of the woman. When I have to deal with the youngsters, like 10 in that age group, I tailor what they need. Everybody need is different. And I make sure I treat everybody as an individual, because everything does not work for everyone. Everybody does not have the same issues. For example, even a person that's dealing with substance abuse, just because they might be dealing with substance abuse does not mean they have the same issue as the substance abuse, because the substance abuse could come from being molested, or the substance abuse could come from mental health, or it could come from dealing with a sickness or something. So the root of every issue might be different from everyone that I deal with.
Great. That's great.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I was just going to ask, what kind of support, but you answered that question by saying everybody is an individual, so everybody gets different kinds of support. And then I know that you are a public speaker as well, international #1 bestseller, author, blah, blah, blah. Tell me about the book that is on the bestseller list. Tell me about that, and what's the name of it?
Okay, the book that's on the bestseller list is called Stay Alive 3. Stay Alive, Life Skills, Volume 3. I was honored to be among 15 authors, and every author and co-author wrote from a place of either personal or professional. So my chapter was taking down the giant in front of you. I didn't write from a point of ever feeling suicidal, because I've never really had that thought, suicide, but it was more or less seeing different things. And honestly, it was spiritual for me, because I was like, I don't know what I'm going to write about, but I knew when the opportunity came, I had to be in the book. And I had asked God, I said, Lord, what should I write about? And he gave me the title, Take Down the Giant in Front of You. And suicide is a giant. It is something to someone. Like, people will say, well, I would never commit suicide. Well, you don't know. You
That's
never
true.
had that issue
Mm-hmm.
to face it, so you really don't know, you know. So I wrote that, and all of the other authors, co-authors, and author wrote in the book, and the book is phenomenal. So we became Amazon #1 international bestseller. So, and then is that's one of, I think, 4 books that I wrote and that I was a part of. And we're talking about domestic violence. I personally led a team and wrote last year on domestic violence. But the book that I wrote, A Tribe Out of Domestic Violence, it was different. And the reason why I say it was different, because we dealt with finances and we dealt with the mental health aspect of domestic violence, because it is that mental health and it is the financial part in domestic violence. So that was different, because most books is just writing about the story of going through domestic violence, and, you know, which we all know. But I was like, okay, I need to do something different. I need to think about something different. And the mental health, because domestic mental health plays on your mental while you're going through domestic violence, and the financial piece. So that was last year. And then I have another book that I co-author with someone. That was a spiritual book, and mine in that book, that was just amazing too, because that book, we had to pick a Bible character, and we had to have that Bible character relate to us. So I picked King David, and I picked him because of the rejection that he felt early on in life. Because he was rejected, you know, but he was selected. But he went through that rejection, so that's why I picked him. And I have another one that's supposed to come out soon, and that is about just phenomenal women doing things in the community and contributing back in the community.
Wow, well, boy, you busy. You're a busy woman. Can't keep up with you. I'm excited for you. I'm excited. And those books are already on Amazon. Or are they coming out? The ones, the last two.
Okay, so the one on suicide, it's out. But to get it from me, because I'm not the lead author, so you could inbox me, DM me to get it for me. Anybody that's out there, if they want to get it, all they have to do is contact me, and I could get it for them. Because in the publishing world, the lead author, that's who, it's a whole nother story.
Right.
They could get the book from me.
Right. Okay. So I know that we have your contact information. I'm going to put it inside the podcast, but also tell them where they can actually email you to try to get any of these books or have you as a keynote speaker.
Oh, thank you. Well, they could go on Facebook. It is Shawn, SHAWNL, Saxton, SAXTON, at Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. I'm there. They could also call me. I have my number is 860-800-2079. But anybody that want to get in contact with me, the best place really to get in contact with me again is on Facebook, unless they shut down. So let me give you my number again. 860-800-2079.
2079. Okay. That's 860-800-2079.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So you guys that want to get any of her books, ask her to be a keynote speaker at any of your events. She's an advocate, like I said, for domestic violence, suicide, mental health, substance abuse, and for children in the state systems, at-risk girls. She is an advocate for all of that. That is Miss Shawn Saxton. And you can actually, she is based out of Tampa, Florida. But that's okay, because she's based out, because she will come to where you are. Because I know earlier this year, she was in Houston. Am I correct on that, Houston?
No, it was Texas, but I went to Lubbock, Texas. I flew into
Lubbock,
Dallas.
Texas. Okay. Okay.
And I forgot to say one more thing. I'm an HIV advocate as well.
HIV advocate as well. So she's all around advocate for folks, and she's excited. I know she's excited about doing it because she just keeps smiling. So she's excited about what she does. She's really good with what she is doing because people keep asking her to speak. Any upcoming speaking engagements you got going on?
I just did a show for an organization, and that's supposed to be coming up. And I'm really not sure, because a lot of times when people ask me to speak, it's almost like a short notice. And it's like, okay, but people let me know in advance too. But then with the social media stuff, I'm really getting out there now because I'm starting to be on a lot of different platforms. Before it was basically like in the state of Florida, but now I'm starting to get out there now.
So. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad. So let's go back to the topic at hand, which is domestic violence. It being a domestic violence month, and me being a recovering domestic violence survivor, I want to say I don't know about survivor. I always want to say recovering, because sometimes we get caught up and we forget about what has happened, and we can slip back into it. And I don't want to say it's an addiction either, but I do want people, women like myself and other women like yourself, okay, that's a red flag, let's not do this red flag again. Let us notice that. And like you said, it can come with women who are way up on the food chain, or women who are actually working from home, have kids at home, so they're homemakers and things. But I want them to know, and I think you want them to know, it is not your fault that person is like that. So
no.
Yes. So speak to that, because a lot of women think it's their fault. If I just do this a little bit more, then it'll be okay. If I just do this a little bit more, she'll be okay. Those kinds of things. Speak to that.
There is nothing that you could do with an abuser. You never could do enough. It's not about you. It is about that abuser, power and control. It is about their narcissistic behavior. There's nothing you could do. There's probably nothing that you did. It's just their own inadequacy. It's their own shortcomings. It has nothing to do with you. Domestic violence is nothing more than power and control. I see that I have an edge. I could take this edge and I could control you.
Wow. That's deep. That's really, really deep. They have this edge and they can control, and they are going to use that to control you.
Correct. That's just what it is. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. You didn't make the rice right. The rice wasn't cooked right. No, you should have cooked the rice yourself. You didn't clean the bathroom. It was a piece of hair on the floor. Well, you should have cleaned it yourself. So this has nothing to do with the victim. It is the abuser. Everything is about power and control. That's all it is. It's almost like a cat and mouse game.
Wow. It's interesting that you would say that. Not interesting, but it's true that you would say that, because I'm looking back into my time with my domestic violence individual. I remember one time, I guess he had company in the house, and I may have walked in the house. I don't know whether I spoke or not, but he said I didn't speak. And so when they left, I got beat up because he said I didn't speak. Right. And so that's just one of the little things. And I mean, it's a big thing, now, but it was a little thing. It's like, are you kidding me? You're beating me up because of this, those kinds of things. And I can say, please. And I'm thinking, Shawn, you'll probably agree with me. Please search out mental health help as well, because I did not after that. And so that has carried me. Didn't know I needed to do that. Right. I mean, I have therapy now, but I didn't know at that particular time I needed to have, once I got away from that I needed to have that therapy, so that I wouldn't carry that with me up until my 20s and 30s.
And you know what, Anita, it is so true, because a lot of times we don't think that, and we think that we're going to be okay. And it's like I do classes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do one class, and it's like an onion. You have to peel the layers off of it.
Wow.
And a lot of times we'll take that with us, and we could find ourselves in another relationship, and we bring that into in a different relationship, you know, because we cannot get past the abuse, and we don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I tell people now to get that mental health counseling, talk to somebody about it, you know, unpack the baggage,
Mm-hmm.
unpack it. Unpack it, you know, because with domestic violence, it's a lot of mental, emotional, physical, psychological, you know, sometimes sexual, financial. It attacks your whole being.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every part of you is attacked. Every part of your whole being is attacked. So in order for you to get well, you have to first see where you're sick at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You have to. That's like if we're sick and we have, say we have some kind of illness, we're going to the doctor to see what's going on with us.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we go to seek mental health counseling? And let me speak to the minority people out there. I'm going to speak to you, and I'm going to be so transparent with you. There is nothing wrong with you getting mental health counseling.
Thank you.
Please note, we are no different from our Caucasian brothers and sisters, our Indian brothers and sisters, our Filipino brothers and sisters, our Jewish brothers and sisters. We are no different from anyone else. They go get mental health counseling for different things. Minority people of color, whether you call yourself African American, I say Black American, you know, please get that counseling. And there is nothing wrong with it. I went for counseling, and I tell you, I was very offended by some of the comments that I had from people about me going to counseling and taking my children in counseling. But I knew that was the only way I could have moved forward, because I stayed mad. And now when I say I'm mad, I am mad in a different way. My MAD stands for making a difference.
Well, go on, girl. I like that. Making a difference. I've never heard it like that, but I like it.
That's what my MAD stands for, making a difference now. So do not be afraid to go out there and seek you some mental health counseling. And if you don't want to seek mental health counseling, get you a coach.
Yeah.
I also do transitional coach and life skills coaching. Get you a coach, and I am certified. Get a coach. To unpack the baggage. Yeah.
Therapy, counseling, whatever you want to call it, they are trained to ask you the right questions to help you get past whatever it is that you are stuck at. And and they, I know that I'm not, okay. All I know is the experience that I've had as being a survivor, and not only a domestic violence survivor, but in a narcissistic relationship. And that's two different relationships. And until I addressed the other issue, I had not addressed the other issue. I was right back into a narcissistic relationship. And so I had to address that before I can even have a healthy, non-toxic relationship. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. So definitely, if and a lot of people, and this is on my podcast, right? So everybody's gonna know this. A lot of people don't know that about me, right? Because for many, many years I hid that. For many years I hid that. But because of the shame, or because I just didn't want nobody to know my business and all that kind of good stuff.
Let's talk to that.
Yeah, therapy
Let's talk
definitely.
to that shame.
Yeah.
Let's talk to that
Oh yeah,
shame.
go ahead. Yeah.
That shame will keep us from getting healthy. The shame will keep us from opening our mouth. And I was shamed because I couldn't understand at the time, how did I get into domestic violence? How did I allow myself to be caught up in domestic
That's
violence?
true.
You know, and I didn't know where it came from. And I was shamed. And like you said, I didn't want people to know my business. It's nobody's business. But as I was doing classes, the Lord told me, then you got to tell these people stuff. I said, God, I'm not telling people my business.
Yeah.
That's not their business, Lord, you know. And then he started exposing
I
me.
love it. You talking exactly what I was saying. You talking exactly what I was saying. Woo, Lord. I remember one time my son-in-law said, you know, your business is not going to grow until you start telling people what you've been through. And I looked at him like he done lost his mind.
Yes. Telling you to tell your business. No, I'm not telling my business. No.
Yeah, but it helps. But when I remember speaking in Philadelphia one time, and something had just happened to me before I came, what had to do with some money, right? And here I am, supposed to be the money guru kind of person, right? And I had already made a deal with the Lord. Okay, we ain't talking about that, God. We ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna talk about all this other stuff. We're gonna talk about all. And before I know it, I was talking about what had happened to me about that money.
Yes.
And you know, there was somebody in the audience that was going through the same thing.
That's what happened to me, Anita. I'm sitting up there, and it was a sister, light-skinned sister. She was about 4 something. I'm 4'11" and a half. She was about 4 something, no taller than 5 feet. She had a red suit on, and I'm looking and I'm saying, this sister is bad. She walked up to me and said, what you hiding? And she was talking about domestic violence. She said, I was married. She said, I was married, and she speaks. I can't remember her name. And her husband had a very good job. She had a very good job. She said he used to beat me for 20 years. And then hire makeup artists to fix my makeup, to keep me when we have to go to dinner and be present. And she had a red suit on. I never forget that. And she looked at me and she said, and you hiding something too. She said, because I could see it in your eyes. She said, because you didn't take your eyes off of me. She said, not once. She told me, she said, but you good. Okay, so she asked me what was I hiding? And then she told me, she looked at me and said, you probably went through it last night. All I could do is look at her. And tears just started flowing. And then the Lord started dealing with me. He said, you know what, you're going through all this, and you need to start telling your story. And I was like, God, I'm not telling people nothing. You know, I'm running groups, you know, and because I'm the type of daughter, I'll bargain with God, and I'll be like, no, God, they don't need to know nothing about me. All they need to know is that I'm going to empower them. That's it. I'm the empowerment coach. I'm this empowerment coach. And you know, before I'm serious.
You Miss Empowerment Coach.
Yes, I'm not telling these people my business. And before I knew it, I started sharing with women, and I started telling them, and they were like, but you don't seem like you went through. I said, it doesn't always seem like it, because I'm a firm believer, and I tell people all the time, the God that I serve have preserved me. So you can't see all of my wounds, but I have remnants. You ever was at the water, the beach, and you look down and you see the rocks in the water, and you see the sand is covering it, and every now and then the remnants of this will come up. And even when you speak into someone, the remnant will come up, because you have to bond with this person to show this person you could come out of this. You know, and for you as a financial coach, you telling them, I wasn't always in this position. Right. You can come out of this. You don't have to be from a paycheck to a paycheck. Right. You know, you can come out of this. Your story is, you know, your story is liberating. Your story could bring you financial gains. Yes. Because someone will pay you for your story.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I love it. This has been a great conversation. I'm loving this conversation. We probably could talk more and more and more and more and more.
Another
But
day.
another day. We probably gonna have we'll have Miss Shawn probably in our Affluence Financial Fitness magazine as well. You know, we may have her write a couple of stories for us, a couple of articles, and probably maybe maybe she'll be a resource. She'll be on our resource page where you can just click the link and then you get her website, her book, all of that information right in there. You'll be able to talk with her straight to her, and you don't have to go through no podcast, although we love for you to come to the podcast. Don't get that twisted. Don't get that twisted now.
I'm enjoying it. I love it.
Don't get that twisted. We love her. We want her. We want to be near her. Okay, she's full of life. She is definitely full of life. And we want to thank you. And you know, we're always sympathetic to what we have gone through and what others have gone through. That's what makes, I think, Ms. Shawn, you can tell me, that's what makes our work not our work. It makes us what we do because we have done it and we know how people feel, and we can have sympathy and empathy for them, and we can do a better job at what we do. So I want to thank you. This has been Anita Johnson, the host of Finding Your Financial Voice, where we talk about, and we did talk about little finances in this one, but I wanted to talk about the domestic violence. Ms. Shawn, you have maybe 20 seconds. You want to tell people what going out kind of advice?
What I want to say is never look at a woman and call her stupid because she's going through this. Just look at her and say, you know what? She's resilient. She's resilient because she will definitely make it through. And what I also do is throughout the year, I go to the dollar store and I pick up items to do little hygiene bags for women that I will come in contact with, and I'll leave them in my car. And the holidays is coming. So if you want to just donate anything, send anything, we pack up bags and we just give them out, you know, because a lot of times people will give to children, but we forget about that single mom. We forget about her, you know, and all she needs is just, maybe she need a pair of underwear, maybe she need a bra, maybe she just needs something just to keep going. Because as a single mom, it is hard going through domestic violence. So when you look at someone, just get real mad and make a difference.
Make a
Don't
difference.
call it
Oh, I forgot. I got to write that down.
Making a difference.
Make a difference. Ooh,
making a difference. You got to put making a difference. You know,
making a difference.
Yes,
okay.
That's how
all right.
Stay mad. Always.
All right.
Making that difference. Stay mad.
I'm going to tell you, Ms. Shawn, you are thebomb.com. Thank you so much for being with us. And again, my name is Anita, the host of Finding Your Financial Voice podcast, where our goal and our mission is always to give you sound financial advice so that you can implement it, leaving a legacy for your children. Thank you for being with us today, and I love you all. Thank you.